You're listening to Storage Nerds Podcast, where we unravel the best-kept secret of the real estate investing world, the storage industry. Join the grassroots guru in self-storage, Stacy Rossetti, in insightful discussions about finding, funding, and running these spaces, allowing you to yield the highest returns possible. Get your foot in the door on self-storage and discover how to properly purchase facilities, negotiate with sellers, and close the deal without worries. Start unpacking that investment wisdom with Stacy right now.
Okay, all right, so I'm here and in my office. I wasn't able to teach last week because of a hurricane coming through Florida, so I got stuck without being able to teach. So I apologize for that. But in fact, I'm going to teach today the 7 different ways to invest in self-storage. So if you are new, then introduce yourself in the chat and let me know where you're at and like what you're interested in, in terms of self-storage. And also another thing I wanted to point out is that my book is available. My book is out now. It's on Amazon and it just got published like last week. So I haven't really even done anything with it, but if you guys want to check that out, that would be great. I appreciate it. I'm also looking for reviews. All right. So if you read the book and you liked it, I'd appreciate a review. But it's 2 years of my life right here, trying to put this into a book. I actually wrote this book. It's not AI generated or anything. This is like real life examples of the facilities that I've bought and how they got explained self invest. And then also it's like a step-by-step process and like just how I get started. So if you guys are listening to me and y'all know my style and stuff, well, that's what it is. Okay. And they're like, so my 3-step process is find them, fund them, run them. And like on this training that I do on Wednesdays, I always teach either find them, fund them, or run them. Every week I kind of switch off. And then the book is kind of in that kind of a way as well too. So it's going through all 3 of those steps. And let's see what else. And that's it. So today what we're gonna do is we're gonna learn about all the different ways that you can invest in self-storage. I'm gonna go through each of those, and I'm sure that you guys maybe have heard of 1 or 2 ways, but I'm going to kind of let you guys know what else in the industry, not just buying a storage facility. Okay, so there's more ways than that. Okay, so if you have any questions, just put it into the chat. And I see there's a couple of newbies here, so welcome and welcome. Thank you for hanging out with me. I teach every week. I try to teach every week. And so then I'll just teach like step-by-step processes on like different types of areas in the storage industry. This is not like the same session every single time. I've never done the same session because I just kind of teach what, like through my coaching program and through like hearing all the students and all the challenges that they're having. That's kind of where I get my ideas from, what to teach. It's like never the same. And so this is not one of those like webinars that you're going to hear like over and over and over. This is like actually real life steps for you. Okay. Good. Okay. So I welcome to Janine and Lynn and Stephanie. You all said hi, and Tony. I think you said hi today, so I appreciate it. Let's get started. Okay. So there's in my mind, I'm thinking there's like 7 different ways that you can get started with self-storage investing. So that is what I want to go through today. So we own 16 facilities, and I'm also partnering in another like at least 15. I'm not sure, I kind of lost count. All right. So we have a lot of experience in like every single type of deal out there. On top of that, like I have students that have closed like 50, like at least 50 storage facilities, if not more. I hold their hand and I walk them through all the different types of facilities. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, there's like not one way to do anything in this industry. Every single facility that I've either purchased myself or partnered with students on, or like I've seen my students close, every single one of them is completely different. They're not all the same. Now, they can look the same. But the truth is that, it's in terms of like what the owners want, what the buyers want, what the income is, what the vacancy is, how much revenue it's making, how you're gonna close the deal, how you're gonna finance the deal. All these different types of things that you're really thinking about in your mind and asking questions about. All of these different nuances really kind of create one special type of facility that you'll probably never come across. Yeah, as far as I've kind of broken it down like over the course of the last 8 years that I've been doing this, what types of deals I've seen, what types of people are in the industry out there trying to buy facilities and to operate. All right, so that's it. So let's talk about, so what I do, I own 16 facilities. Every single facility that I've ever bought is always a mismanaged facility. All right, so like if you've been following me for a long time, then you know that that's kind of my thing is mismanage anything, right? So like when I started in the real estate industry in like 2010, 2011. And if you guys remember back to that time, that's when we were coming out of the bubble. And like everything was in foreclosure, all of the houses, all the properties were all in foreclosure. And so when I got into real estate investing, that's what I did was I was buying houses and I was like renovating them and stuff. And so I kind of just got into that mindset of like you just have to buy like really crappy things, and then you make them beautiful. That is really that's the backbone of like mismanaged facilities on the self-storage. Now, when you look at like like a house that you're renovating, and you look at a storage facility that's mismanaged, it's really kind of two different things. Because on the storage side, it's really about management, right? So you're buying a business and you're buying a business. And when you buy a business, essentially what happens is that your job as the owner, if you do not understand this concept, you will fail in this business, right? You will fail. But your business, you say your goal as an owner is to increase revenue and decrease expenses. That is how you make money in the storage world, right? So it is not per se an investment property, right? So you have a piece of property that you're holding on to, ultimately on the commercial side, the way that real estate is valued is by, how much money that property is making. Okay. It doesn't matter if it's the most beautiful property in the world. If it's not making money, then it's not going to be worth, what you put into it. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of it is. So on a mismanaged facility, which is what we buy severely mismanaged facilities in the respect that they are not making the income that they should be making. So when I say I buy mismanaged facilities, I know that there is an upside in trying to manage the property, better. Right? That's what it is. So it's really how do you manage the property? Let me see here. So let me do mismanaged facilities is the first. Okay. So that means that your job as the owner is to increase revenue and decrease expenses. That's what you're doing. Now, like in regards to renovation, is there like work that needs to be done? I mean, the truth is you could come produce a property or a mismanaged facility, and there's always work that it doesn't matter what kind of facility it is. There's always going to be some sort of capex. So, like in terms of like fixing it up, you may need to put a gate in. I just talked to a student yesterday, and they got a facility under contract in North Carolina. They live in Texas. They have a facility under contract in North Carolina. And they flew out to walk the property and do their due diligence. And that he was telling me that as he was walking around, he kind of sort of noticed some pooling of water. Now it's like it has asphalt. I mean, it's like totally paved. It's a really nice looking property. It's fenced in. It's got a gate, but there's some issues with the paving, right? So so it doesn't matter if it's income producing or if it's mismanaged. You're always going to have capex on a property. It could be a little bit of capex or it could be a lot of capex, right? So that does not classify a facility as being mismanaged or not. Mismanaged means it's not making the money that it should be making in the respect that you can 2x, you 1.5x, 2x, or 3x revenue in the course of like 3 years. That's what you're asking yourself, okay? Can I, like 2x my money, right? 1.5. A lot of people say like, oh, I can 1.2x or 1.5x or 1.9x or 3x or whatever it is. Like, can you increase the revenue? Now, in terms of like all the stores in the country, I would say most of them you can, increase the rates somewhat. As for some, like in some regards. Okay. Now, when you own property, like if I own a storage facility and I buy an income producing property, that's number two is income producing or cash flowing or whatever you want to call it. If I'm buying an income producing property, this is a property that's making money, making the money that it should be making, then then you still can raise the rents. You still can look at the competition. You can do a competitive analysis and say, okay, this facility here is around 47 cents a square foot. That's what the income is divided by the square footage, right? That's kind of what you're coming up with. And I'm looking at the competition, and everybody's at around on average for like 10 by 10 or 10 by 20s on average, and say 52 cents a square or 50 cents a square foot. So sometimes when you look and you do bill analysis facility, you will say like, okay, it's about where the price should be. He's charging exactly right where he should be. But can I increase the rent a little tiny bit, or maybe in the next couple of months or in the next half of the year, I can increase the rent by $5. Anybody that's been there for a year or more, right? So there's always possibilities, even if it's an income producing property that's making what it should be making, then there's always possibilities in increasing the rent. Maybe just by a little bit, $5, or something like this. Then so it's like different from a mismanaged facility to an income producing property. So mismanaged facilities, you can really increase the rents, by 5, 10, 15, 20, or maybe 50% or whatever it is. And on top of that, you can also increase the vacancy. So that's what mismanaged facilities are. So let's say increase rent and increase vacancy. Okay, so when you buy my deal analyzer and you look at the deal analyzer, there's 3 different ways that we analyze deals. The first one is like current, as is right now. What is the property? What is the valuation of this property? And for the most of the time, it's like either below what they're going to pay for it, or it's kind of right at what you're going to pay for, right? And then we evaluate the property based on vacancy. Okay, so can you increase the vacancy from 50% to 80% or 70% to 85% or whatever it is, what calls for that area. And then the third way that we evaluate the properties is by increasing the rents. Okay, what is the price per square footage right now, and what can we get that to? So it's really kind of an opportunity. So when you're looking at both of these facilities, which is kind of the 2 most common things that you're going to be doing in storage, then you're going to be looking at, right? So we kind of have bill analyzers, right? You have current, and then you have what we call potential, and then you have like we call out. But really, this is like year 1, year 2, and year 3. Okay. So in year 1, right, what's the income? What's the vacancy? What's the valuation? Right? What's the cap rate? What's the cap rate? Right. So that's what you're looking at. You're looking at the income in year 1, the vacancy in year 1. Okay. So the price per square foot, 47 cents, right? The cap rate is like a 4 cap, 5 cap, or 6 cap, or whatever you're buying it at. The valuation, okay, it's worth $1 million right now, as is with the income. It's making $100,000, and it's like 70% full. All right. So for both, you're looking at those evaluations. Okay. And then in year 2, your goal is to take it from 50% full to 75% full, or 60% full to 70% full, or 60% full to 80% full, or whatever. It's like your job is to make sure that the vacancy as high as it can be dependent on the market. Okay. And it could be 80%, like maybe most of the facilities in the area are only like 80 to 85% full at all times, right? Or maybe you can get it to 90%, maybe you can 95%, right? So it just depends on the market. And this is like you doing your evaluation on you're doing deal analysis on your properties, right? And then, so now you're saying, can I increase the income, right? Can I increase the income by increasing the vacancy from what it currently is to what it could, like, to the highest possible amount? We typically, for like tertiary and like secondary markets, we typically run our numbers at like 90 to 92% full, right? And then like primary markets is around like 80 to 90% full, depending on how primary that market is. And all the stuff that I'm talking about, if you're not getting it and you're listening to me, like this is in my course. Like this is like all in my course. You can learn about this. And also the deal analyzer course all explained. So I'm kind of doing more of a high level, not getting into the nitty gritty. Or you can join storage nerds, right? You're right. Yes, thank you. Okay, so increase. All right. You're increasing, yeah, you're right. You're decreasing vacancy. You're increasing, yeah. So you have vacancy and then you're decreasing vacancy. You're cutting full. That's what I meant. Yes, thank you very much. Guys, how many believes this? Listen, that's all that matters, right? Okay. And then your valuation is obviously once you decrease vacancy, your valuation is going up, right? Value cap rate is going is going to be going up, and your price per square foot is going up, right? Okay. And then now, after like a couple of years of like this is like slow and steady wins the race, right? So this is not like it's not something that happens overnight, right? It takes like 2 to 3 years. I mean, if you're buying an income producing property that's really doing like what it's supposed to be doing, obviously this can be like a lot quicker. Okay, but like I'm telling you, 90% of all the facilities that I see are going to take 18 to 24 months to really kind of get to where it is. Because it takes like the first 90 days that you own a property, you're just like, oh, what the hell's going on, right? And then after that, like the next 90 days, you're like, okay, I'm kind of getting the hang of this. We should figure this out. It takes a good like year for you to even really kind of get a hang of how everything's going. And the next year, you're like, okay, how can I really figure this out? Like, what is the strategy here? What's the competition doing? What's my marketing? You're kind of figuring that out. So like, it's gonna give me a couple of years, for a second. Okay? And then year 3, you're like, all right, let's start raising those ones. Like year 2 to 3, you're like, all right, let me do a $5 increase or a $10 increase. What is that increase amount that I can do that like doesn't piss everybody off, but at the same time increases the value of my property? And really, it's just a game. Like years 2 and 3, you're figuring out the management. You're figuring out what the price should be. And actually, it's like the market is so nuts. It's like every month we are looking at like our prices of our competitors. We're looking at like, people have vacancy or not, or like if they're doing a promo, or like, how much money we're spending on like our boots on the ground, or like, so that's what you're looking at in like years 2 and 3. And it's really just a game, and you're sitting there trying to figure out what it should be. And the truth is like every month or every couple of months it changes. You want to be like on your toes, because like I'll check competition. Like we have like one facility in like kind of like a smaller town, not too bad. It's like about maybe 20,000 people, and there's two other facilities in town. So there's 3 of us. The 2 other facilities are owned by one person. So there's like me and this other person, and like we know that person very well. We're good colleagues in the industry. And so then like at his website, and he'd be copying me, or he'd be maybe a little bit cheaper than me. I'm like, what's he doing? And then I'll go over there and I have to like match his or do this. That's like this whole game. I'll look at like 10 by 10s, one quarter, and it'll be like higher. And I'm like, or whatever. It's kind of how it's a big game. And the good thing is that we're friends, so it's all good. But like, that's how it is. If you're not like that type of person that really wants to just, be really managing a business and running a business. How do I increase my expenses and how do I decrease this? And like, what is my competition doing? Like, that's how the storage market is. And it's not going to get any better. In fact, it's going to get more challenging, right? As we get more competition. Because I started, like, I've been teaching now for 5 years. I started about 8 years ago. And like the first couple of years that I've been about storage, man, nobody cared about storage. It's the best time. I'd go out, talk to an owner, do a handshake, and then that was it. But now it's not like that. Now you have to be on your game. Like this is it's that this is like slow and steady, brings the grace. A lot of these properties, you're really going to manage them very, very well. I'm going to, be on top of my game. And 5 to 7 years, I'll be able to like sell them and make a good amount of money on the back end. And I can roll that money into something bigger. That's really what your game is in this industry. Okay. All right. So now you're increasing the income. Vacancy is full, right? As full as you could possibly be. Valuation's up, right? Your prices are up. Everything's up. And so, okay, when is a good time to sell? When is a good time for me to be able to roll this thing over and buy a bigger bill? That's kind of where your game is. That's what we're at. So that's kind of how we monitor everything in the first couple of years for income producing and this name. So these are the two most popular ways to get in. And I think this one, mismanaged facilities, is going like your first couple of years is going to be a lot harder, a lot more challenging because you're buying something that somebody just really was not taking care of properly. So you're fixing all these mistakes. And it's a lot more stressful. But you'll be able to get a better deal on that property. You'll be able to get a better price, and you should be able to at least double the value property. You're not sure. Okay. We're seeing some really good double the value of the properties in maybe nice like that. Okay, so that's kind of properties maybe cash flowing or it's not quite cash flowing, it's right for the first year, and then you're gonna start cash flowing and then you're gonna sell it and make a appreciation on the back. That's what it is. Okay? Now, we've done 16 mismanaged facilities now. That's kind of where we're at. And we play the game and, we're always trying to make sure that we're, 80% higher or full on all the facilities. If we're not, then we're looking at what can we do? What are the prices? Like at one point last year, prices were down super low. Like you would do a 10 by 10, typically $100 was $40 or something like this, so that you just have to be able to be okay with that kind of a stress where it's it's a market curve and it's gonna be up and it's gonna be down. That's we're all doing fine. All right. Big thoughts on that. So let's see. Michael saying to rehab an existing retail facility, big box type of store, is there a rule of thumb on what to pay per square foot? No, there's no rule of thumb. Because if I would have quoted you last year, the prices would be super high. But guess what? Now contractors are working, but they're looking for work. Everybody was super busy the last couple of years. And now it's they're all okay, ready to be doing stuff. Even steel was really high. All the prices were high. Everything was really high in the last couple of years. But now it's pre-COVID. I feel like everything is going back to pre-COVID. So no, I have no idea. Just get some quotes and just do really good due diligence. Because the truth is that I have no idea. But the quotes is what I do. I got it's so much work. So I'm not making that much. Should I really do that? Okay. There are other ways for you to get into the industry. One of the big ones is going to be new construction. Okay, so over the last couple of years, you've seen like all these kind of storage facilities going up and like in the primary markets. Especially in primary markets. I feel like a lot of the bigger markets are really going to be oversaturated. They're kind of oversaturated right now. And then, but you also have, right, you have secondary and tertiary markets, right? So primary, secondary, tertiary. Tertiary just means country, right? And primary is like the metro, Nashville's and the Austin, Texas, and the Dallases and all that area. And all these storage facilities, all these big box players came up, they started building and and then it's just got oversaturated. Right? You just got to make it open to like we can talk about the secondary market players. Secondary markets like the monsters and the stories and like all these kind of like middle players. They're kind of coming out there, starting building and stuff. But in these secondary markets, you have like the older owners. They're like older owners that have owned their properties for 10, 20, 30 years. And now they become the competition to these bigger players, and they really don't know how to manage. They really don't know how to be competition to like all these bigger players because the bigger players come in, they just spend a lot of money and they just like just like I don't know what their game is honestly. It's just like spend money and like hope for the best, right? So because I'm in primary market facilities, we have competition primary and secondary and tertiary. And the primary market is very hard to be in. So I do not recommend it at all. Secondary is not too bad if you're okay with like looking at stuff on a regular basis and just being on top of it. And then tertiary is like, the country, little tiny towns and stuff like this, typically like 25,000 population or less, okay? And not suburbs, like actual towns. And like in tertiary market, you still have opportunity there to build new construction. I really wouldn't recommend unless you want to go like super big to do secondary market new construction. We are going to do secondary market construction in Florida, and we're in a like we're going to be doing a big, huge thing like house. If you're not, then you want to do that can build definitely for sure 25,000 population or less. And you can start out with like, little tiny towns, 50 units or 100 units, or 150 or 200. I think like that's a good amount of storage in like these tiny towns. So there is opportunity still in the tertiary markets. I personally would not recommend unless you get a feasibility study and just make sure that the competition like that you like, and also make sure that you're paying attention to where the competition is building. Explain that in my book, right? Like you need to become really paying attention to where the competition is building. Because there's somebody that's because the way that is that you have like who's pulling permits in your area. Right, so you always like if you're going to be building or even if you're going to be buying a storage facility, you kind of just want to know like who is there any new building going to be going on, right? So for new construction, but you can really preempt your facility. Okay, like an example, one of my students, he like actually he didn't build, but he bought a facility that was brand new, newly built, with no tenants. Okay, so the owner of that property, he was like a contractor, and he built like 100, I think it's like 150 units. Like he did everything, it was like gated, fenced, asphalt. It was like a beautiful brand new facility, and I think it cost maybe around 500 grand or so. It wasn't like super expensive. And then so just think in terms of like kind of how the process works. So then my student, like, and then he sold it. He sold it to my student for $1 million. He made like 500 grand on that property. Okay. And then my student leased that property. I remember that is a $1 million property that's not making any income at all. He got a loan on that property, which is really a projected base loan. And then he leased that property up within like maybe a year. He got it leased up, but he was like working his butt off to lease that thing off, right? And then they sold that property in year three. From my graduate in year three, he sold it for $2 million. So it's leased up and they should have one good year of like P&L tax returns. And then he sold that property, made $1 million. And then he took that $1 million and he just rolled it over into a bigger facility. And now he lives in London. He has two facilities doing exactly that. So it's hard to hear me. Okay, sorry about that. I'm here. I'll fix that probably next week. I'm gonna fix it, okay? But because I think a couple of people were complaining last time. But I apologize. It is what it is. So anyway, so we took it from like, $5,000 property, which was brand new construction, to $1 million property to like he sold it for $2 million. And that was like in years 1 and 3, the new construction would cost around $500,000 to build. So you can see how, like, if you were the one that was going to build that property, you could really built that property for 500 grand and sold it a couple of years later for like $2 million. You see what I'm saying? So that's how, like, new construction is very good in the respect that whatever the amount of money it takes for you to build and all that time and effort that you're putting into like building, you should be able to 3x that money within like, 3 to 5 years. And that's kind of the thought process on that. Okay. All right. So new construction is very good. Very good to get into. And there's still opportunity in the tertiary markets unless you want to go super big secondary market. Okay, so conversions. Conversions, I bought a conversion. So there was a guy in Florida that like bought a building. Now you know all these buildings, like they're all sitting empty right now. These like Best Buys and this kind of stuff, right? And they're sitting empty everywhere. And you can get them for really good prices. And then you can convert it into storage. Okay. So that is what a lot of people are doing. You see this all the time, right? You see like the old Kmart's becoming like a storage facility and stuff. So this is what I'm talking about, conversions. And so we did not do the conversion ourselves. We bought a conversion, and it's really the thought process is it's climate controlled. And if you look at like what the net capital per square foot is for like a regular non-climate control facility versus a climate control facility. Like climate control is always like super low. Like there's a lot of opportunity for climate control versus non-climate control. You could have like a lot of like non-climate control in your primary market, secondary market, just very little climate control. So there's like a lot of opportunity, is what I'm saying. So that's why doing a conversion is it's a very good way for you to get into this industry if you're just doing stuff like that. Now, I had a student that bought a building and he just got Janice to come in and just build. Like he bought the building, they built it, and then he just had Janice come in and just build units out. And then he got her to so like it's not really that hard. The hard part is the building is already done. The hard part is really just kind of getting the zoning or the variances in order to be able to do the conversion, because you have to look at the cities and stuff. But it's really not that much work compared to new construction. And then you have such a good opportunity because of not of climate control not being as a big of a product as non-climate. There's a lot of opportunity there. That's what I'm saying. So if you are okay with it, highly recommend. And actually, we have a facility that's a conversion and it's climate control, and we leased that thing. Like the owner was trying to do it himself, and he was really struggling. And that's where I told you that like that business ownership, the marketing, and the game comes into play. If you can't figure that out, then of course you're gonna have trouble to get leased up. So he was kind of in that spot. So he had done the conversion, he was struggling. So we came in and we just leased it up is what we did. And it's a climate control facility. And I mean, there's a lot of opportunity. So once you figure out the marketing and stuff, you should be able to figure that out. And the really good thing about climate control is that your price per square foot is really a lot higher than non-climate control. So like let's just say the average price for a 10 by 10 non-climate control unit in the United States is around $80. So 80 cents a square foot, right? And the average price for climate control is like $1.50 to $1.70, something like that. So you're at almost double the price for the climate control. Now you're paying a little bit more for the air conditioning, but there's a lot more opportunity. Does that make sense? Okay. Entitlements. Entitlements is something that you really don't in the real estate investing world. and you kind of know and understand real estate investing, you don't really hear this. Okay, but what entitlement is it's basically taking these two things and making it bigger. Taking these two, like either one of these, and doing all of the pre-development is what it is. It's really pre-development to new construction. Okay, so in order for you to do new construction, you have to like have a piece of land, right, to be able to build. Now, in order to be able to build on that land, you've got to make sure that the zoning is correct. You've got to work with the city and the county. You've got to make sure that your variance is okay and the permitting and you got to do all that stuff. And it could take like 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, depending on the size of the property and then like how the government works in that area. Okay, some places are easier than other, but that is all that pre-development work to new construction is called entitlements. And that all that work is very valuable, very, very valuable. And it is worth a lot of money. If you're the type of person that can do that, then I highly recommend looking into this. And if you've done it before, maybe in any type of any type of niches in the real estate industry, then this would be very good for you. And this is somebody that loves to just sit at the desk and property manage, or no, project manage is what it is, because it's really just a lot of property, it's a lot of communication and a lot of like project management, and that's kind of how it is. And so it's worth quite a bit of money. So I have a couple of students that do only entitlements, and it will take them on average maybe a year to 2 years to have it. But when you go onto like Craigslist or LoopNet and you look at like all the facilities and you see the land, and they have like the big borders, and they got the McDonald's and the Walmart right next to it. And they say like, this property is ready to be sold, ready to be built on. That is them. Somebody's doing all that entitlement. Somebody's done all that work to get it to the point where you can sell the drawing, sell the permit, sell everything that gets done. And then a builder can come in and then just build it. Which is exactly what happens with my student, right? He did the entitlement in Texas, and then he built the property because that's what he does. He was a contractor, and then he sold the property to my student. My student leased it up and then sold it again to somebody else. Okay, so that's kind of how that works, entitlement. So if you're that type of mentality, if you're good at like project management and good at communication and good at like kind of keeping things organized, then this is a very, very good way to get involved in sports. And also, I have several like lenders that I partner with on deals, and that's what they do. They do the entitlement work. Like we have one property right now where it's a portfolio of 3 facilities, and one of my partners in that deal is the person that does like entitlement. When you start getting into storage, that is a very, very good way to really get into it. And then that person just like sits and kind of just manages everything. Okay. Okay, so that's number 5. Number 6. What's that about? Okay, wholesaling. All right, so I'm gonna just pitch my wholesaling course is going to be available. Like it's already done, but I just haven't pitched it yet. It's gonna be available soon. Right, so if you're listening to me, you're like, yeah, I'm just wholesaling. Okay, so wholesaling is where you're the middle person between the buyer and the seller. Okay, so like your job as a wholesaler is to go and talk to owners and see if they would be interested in selling their property. You can wholesale any type of property. You can wholesale land, commercial, residential, whatever it is, you can just wholesale. Okay? But in the terms of storage, you go and you talk to the owner. Stacy, and I'm looking to see if you're interested in getting an offer on this property. And they say, yeah, it's enough. And so then you run your numbers and you hand over the offer. And then the owner says wow, this is a good deal. Yeah, I'd love to sell my property. You say, great, let me put it under contract. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out and I'm going to find somebody to buy this facility. I'm either going to partner with somebody on it, or I'm going to just hand it over to somebody else. So you are the middle person between the buyer and the seller. That's what wholesaling is. Basically, it's just like paper shuffling. It's it's a little bit more deeper than that, but this is very, very good for somebody that wants to get into storage, but does not have a lot of money. Because you really make that middle amount of money. So let's say I talk to this person and he says, yes, like I'd be interested in getting an offer, and you offer like $1 million for his property. And then he says, yeah, I'll take $1 million. And then you say, okay, let me go out and find this person to buy it. And this person says, like, I'll pay 1.1 million for the property, because maybe the property is worth $2 million and he's happy with making 900 grand in like the next 3 or 4 months, 4 years. Right. So that $100,000 is yours. Okay. Now I'm saying numbers like that, but the truth is those numbers are totally normal. I paid upwards of 250 grand for it. Okay. So you can make quite a bit of money in wholesaling. Now it's not like you do a wholesale deal every month or something like that. It's a commercial, takes a long time to do things. But I've wholesale deals and made like $60,000, $100,000 on those. Okay. So once you learn this concept, you can do that. You don't do like in wholesaling on the residential side, you're happy to make 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 grand. In commercial, you make more than that. You get 25, 50, 75, 100. If you're like on any lists of any wholesalers out there in the world, they're making 25, 50, 100 grand on those deals. Okay. So that's what wholesaling is you're the middle person between the buyer and the seller, and you're just kind of like shuffling paper. Obviously, there's a lot of legalities to it and stuff. So that's why you should look at my wholesaling course when it comes out. But if this is something where I really want to get into storage, I only really have around 25,000 or 50,000. I know that the money that I have is not enough to actually buy a storage facility. I don't really understand the concept of raising capital yet. I don't really understand, how to partner. All I'm going to do is really try to wholesale 1 or 2 deals, and I'm going to use that money as a down payment for my facility along the way. Okay, whatever amount of money that I make, which is a story that story that I've just told you is like what many students within the storage nurse program have done. Right? They don't have enough money to buy a storage facility. They wholesale 1, 2, 3. They make 150 grand, and then they take that 150 grand, and then they go and they use that as a down payment for the facility that they own. In fact, I'm partnering on a deal with one of my students right now where he has wholesaled 9 deals, 9 storage facilities within the last 4 years, and made pretty good money. And then on top that he has also, like, if he talks to an owner and he offers like seller financing to the owner, he'll try to come up with the money for the seller financing. He'll find somebody to do that. But he'll get the owner to only want like a little bit of money. So not only has he wholesaled 9 deals, he's also bought like 6 different storage facilities. All because he went out learning how to wholesale, made offers, and then was able to wholesale or even get the seller to sell finance. So it's very, very common to to wholesale. You typically wholesale smaller deals. You don't get out there and wholesale bigger deals, but turnkey acquisitions, which is what I call storage nurse turnkey acquisitions. And I have 8 like virtual assistants that do nothing but call owners all the time, and we just make offers. What I do is I ask for a cut in the deal. Right. So if it gets to be too much money, like if I'm going to make 100 grand or 200 grand, essentially what I'll say is just like, hey, you go buy it, you can have it for $1 million, and that 100 grand, I'll get that on the back end, when you sell the property. You can really have that money work as well too inside the deal. So I like being equity partners in deals rather than wholesaling and getting that big chunk of change. That's kind of how it works in the commercial world. Okay, wholesaling, very, very good, profitable way to get into the industry. Okay. Okay, and then that's the wholesaling course. Next month. Okay. So if you're interested, it'll come out next month. It'll be ready, like towards the end of September. Okay. And finally, the last way for you to get into self-storage, which I think is the best way to get into self-storage, is by lending. Right? Lending. So this can entail being a partner, or putting your money in a fund, right? Something like this. Partnering on a deal, lending money, being a debt lender, partnering, or having like putting your money into a fund. So I have all of these, and I'm going to tell you that my investors, my partners, my lenders, my investors, they don't do anything. They do nothing but make money. That's it. Like your goal as a real estate investor should be to lend your money out, to invest your money, right? Not to be the one that's doing all the work, not to be the one that's like grinding all the time, right? So if you can, if you have money, I would highly recommend that you look at partnering on a deal, or putting your money into a fund, becoming a debt lender on a deal, because you don't do anything and your money just makes it's the best way to make money. I know, because I have 16 properties, and I'm gonna tell you, it is a lot of work. It's a lot of work. Right? So when they're saying they have $50 million in storage or $100 million in storage, sounds amazing, but it is a lot of work. I want to be the person that's just lending the money out. I want to be the person that's investing and not doing anything. That is my ultimate goal, and that should be your goal as well too. Okay? So those are the 7 ways to get into self-storage, to learn how to get into self-storage. So which of the 7 are you interested in? Put it into the chat so I can know. I want to know what you're interested in. What did you like of all of them? Again, they are the mismanaged facilities, income producing properties, new construction, conversions, entitlements, wholesaling, or lending. Of all those, which one sounds the best to you? What are you interested in? Okay? Let me know. Now, just real fast before everybody leaves. I am closing down my Storage Nerds coaching program. I will not have it open for 2025. Okay. So I decided, so this year this next year, I will not be doing any coaching. I am going to open the doors. I am the doors for the next month for the last time ever to get into the coaching. I have the book coming out. We've got I'm curating a lot of deals. I've got my funds. I've got we syndicated a lot of deals. I'm doing that. I've got turnkey acquisitions. I got a whole bunch of stuff going on. But I've decided to just take a break on the coaching. So that means I will open the doors for 1 month. I'm going to start that next week, and talk to people about getting into the coaching program, and that's it. I'm done. I'm not going to be doing any more coaching. I'll just be focusing on some other things that we're trying to do right now. Okay, so I wanted to let everybody know it's closing. All right, and then also, just so you guys know, the boot camp is coming out. This is my final boot camp. I'm not doing any boot camps again. It's my final boot camp, September 21st and 22nd. So next year, I will not be doing public coaching and teaching and stuff. Taking a break. So if you really want to kind of get a jump start on stuff, highly recommend coming to the boot camp. It's 21st and 22nd. It's virtual. You just hop on Zoom, listen in. I will take you through finding funding and running the properties. And then after that, you'll be able to get out and do your own thing. And if you join, you do get the deal analyzer for free. That's included because you need the deal analyzer in order to learn how to run deal analysis. And we go over that in the boot camp. Okay? And you can also, just so you know, in the coaching program, if you do join the coaching program, you do get access to my core super simple self-storage, the deal analyzer, all the boot camps. I can find, run, all the replays. Get access to, there's a management course, there's a development course, there's a jumpstart course, find, run course, there's the wholesaling course. We have weekly trainings. We have vendor demos, case studies, the infill training day where you can come out and hang out with me for a day. So this is everything included into the coaching program. And this is what's going to end by the end of within the next month. It's going to end. So anybody that's in will always have access to this, access to me, but that's not going to open the doors of me. All right. Okay. So that's my 2 cents, and I'm sticking to it. All right. I see. There's okay, mismanaged conversions, possibly wholesaling, lending. Good. The Jumpstart course is a 3-hour course that just kind of gets you started in calling owners and talking to owners. Right. So it's when you ask yourself, what is the first 10 steps I should be doing? That's the Jumpstart. Okay, that's what you're doing. Anyways, okay, and then other than that, see distressed or wholesaling, perfect, good, okay, so you guys all kind of know what you need, what you want. I appreciate you, listening to me today, and I'll hopefully see you guys next time, okay? All right, take care.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Storage Nerds. Hope this informative conversation inspired you to go out there and jump into this highly profitable business venture that people rarely talk about. Get more tips on storage space investing at www.stacyrossetti.com. Don't forget to subscribe to the show and leave a rating. Together, let's build that thriving passive income one storage space at a time. Until next time.